Hi guys. How are you all doing? Today, I've brought you another thrilling and fast-paced movie. It's incredibly intense. The heroine of this movie lives in a high-tech house where her words can control everything. However, a brutal psycho killer has made his way inside. The heroine takes on the psycho in a huge incident, but that's just one part of the story. There are unexpected twists and turns throughout the film. Let's dive into the movie called Hard Home. Let's get into the story. The movie opens in a dense jungle. In the middle of this jungle, we see our heroine Mary jogging. A mysterious person hides and takes a picture of her. Realizing she's being watched, Mary starts running. She encounters an anesthetic needle, but when the attacker tries to use it on her, she grabs something and manages to fend him off. He tries to strangle her with a knife in hand, ready to kill, but Mary somehow escapes and ends up with the anesthetic needle herself. This terrifying high-tech house is located deep in the forest. A car is parked in the house's parking lot. Shortly after, a neighbor named Kelly arrives, always complaining about something. They discuss whether the locking device outside the house is effective. Suddenly, someone shouts, "Sorry, Mr. Benetta. I'll make sure this doesn't happen again." The psycho is hiding somewhere in this forest, brutally killing any women who come here. He even has a map showing where he plans to attack, warning no one to enter the forest alone. Our heroine narrowly escaped from this psycho, who is referred to as Diablo. As she escapes, she finds his knife, which brings back memories from 3 years ago. Back then, our heroine moved into this house with her family, a high-tech home controlled by a smartwatch. She wanted a fresh start for her family, which includes her only daughter, Kelly Pam. The house has many advanced features, including an elevator. However, Kelly is frustrated by all the technology, saying, "Treat me normally. I don't need all this." Her mother reassures her, saying that everything is for her convenience until her surgery, after which she won't need all these gadgets. Despite the beautiful new start, the warmth of their life begins to fade. Our heroine starts feeling a strange sense of dread and anger, as if something terrible is going to happen. The film takes a sharp turn from here. While sitting in a tense state, she suddenly hears someone outside and sees a cab pulling up to the house. It's not her son as she feared, it's the psycho. He gets out of the car, and in a twist, our heroine brings him inside and locks him up. But the twist doesn't end there. The psycho isn't just anyone. He is our heroine. Now that he's out of the car, he can't leave the house, and there's no way out. The house is filled with newspaper clippings about the murders committed by the psycho, showing photos of the women he killed and their bodies. Our heroine has been collecting all these details. The TV in the house starts playing the news about the psycho, revealing a cabin in the forest where a woman's body was found in a cage with her tongue cut out and burned. The news paints a terrifying picture of our heroine. The story reveals that she was psychologically attacked, which caused her to collapse and develop this twisted pattern of behavior. As the psycho's past comes to light, including the cruel treatment he endured from his mother, he starts to break down. Our heroine watches all this unfold through the screen, turning their deadly encounter into a cat-and-mouse game. After this, we are going to see what happens next. Now in that room, there is only one door with a key. Our heroine has kept it for him because the next room holds various treatments meant for him. Before, there were 3 small cages in that room, each containing a photo of the 3 women he had killed. Now as the light shines on those faces, he starts hearing voices, women's voices accusing him of being evil, a psycho like his father, and a monster. The harsh words of his mother's scolding echo in his mind, causing him to collapse, as this has been a chain of trauma since his childhood. He grabs the chain, climbs onto one of the cages, and puts the chain in his hand. The next second, he receives a shock and stares at the camera, realizing that our heroine is watching everything. Meanwhile, some news is playing on the TV. As his mental state deteriorates, the cuts on the screen act as triggers for his mental illness. But when he refrains from taking the chain again, the memories of his mother's scolding resurface, becoming a terrible trigger for him. As he tries to cope, He takes off his glove and covers the camera with it, preventing our heroine from seeing what he's doing. He doesn't let go though, and a video begins playing, telling him he's not human, that karma will catch up to him, and that his life is cursed. The heroine, who sees this, falls down in satisfaction. She then goes to her daughter Kelly's photo and holds a candle. When he sees that there's a key in the chain, the key to the next room, he takes it and opens the door. But after seeing what's inside, he decides not to enter that room. The gate is electrified, preventing him from doing anything. He returns to the next room, where the stories of the women he killed start playing. Though they are only voices from a speaker, they express their anger, and he destroys the speaker in frustration. Our heroine watches as he enters the next room. In the center of this room is a small angel statue inside a glass box. When he sees it, he collapses slightly, recognizing it as the statue from his mother's grave. He starts hearing his mother's voice, calling him a psycho. We don't know how our heroine figured all this out, but it's clear she has a plan to break him down. The torment continues until he sees the photos of the 3 girls he murdered. As he remembers how he killed them, he starts experiencing what they went through. Our heroine has set fire traps all over the room, and he runs around like a trapped rat, with our heroine watching him with anger. The whole room catches fire, except for one spot where the statue from his mother's grave stands. He notices a door beneath it, opens it, and falls into the basement. This, however, is exactly what our heroine planned. Meanwhile, a camera outside shows the neighbor Joe approaching the house. Joe, unaware of the situation, stands in front of the camera, collecting the mail from the mailbox. He knocks on the door, threatening to call the police, but our heroine dismisses him, saying he can even call the military, as no one will believe him. After he leaves, our heroine reflects on her daughter's situation. The operation to help her walk was successful, and Kelly confidently discarded her walking stick, saying she didn't need it anymore. But the memory of this brings our heroine to tears as she slips back into her revenge mode. Now the psycho is trapped in the basement, showing signs of a frenzied state. There is a small cabin above, where the fire was set. He tries to figure out how the fire started, discovering that only one sensor was responsible. He smashes it with a stone, trying to find a way out. Spotting an air vent above, he decides to escape through it but gets stuck due to its narrow size. Our heroine notices this and watches him struggle. When she opens a cupboard, she finds it filled with various medicines. Flashbacks reveal that after her daughter was murdered by the psycho, the FBI agent investigating the case informed her about a paralyzing drug the killer used on his victims. Our heroine researched this drug and bought a large quantity of it on the black market. She also acquired a device that could hack and retrieve files. This explains the meticulous planning she did in the background. She loads the paralyzing drug into an injection and goes to the room where the psycho is trapped in the vent. Only his leg is visible, hanging out. In a twist, the psycho has set a trap for our heroine, anticipating her arrival. As she approaches, he drops down and starts attacking her. Despite being overpowered, our heroine fights back, realizing she must escape. She opens the small door leading to the basement and locks him inside. After trapping him, she takes the psycho's knife and the paralyzing injection. She stabs him in the neck, causing him to start fainting. As he loses consciousness, he remembers his traumatic childhood, including his mother's harsh words. He collapses mentally, and both he and our heroine fall unconscious. However, before our heroine faints, she sets a timer on her watch. This timer holds a twist. During a flashback, we learn that our heroine anticipated the possibility of being injected by the psycho. She had preemptively injected herself with a counteragent, which would put her to sleep temporarily, allowing her to recover later. Paralysis only lasts for 1 hour, but our heroine has trained herself to recover within 45 minutes. She has carefully planned everything. If you take a closer look, you'll see that our heroine has gone a step beyond the department's investigation. Officer, take note, all these murders took place in 3 locations: California, New York, and another city. A lady officer points out something important. In the last 3 murders, 2 happened simultaneously in different locations. "We are missing something," she said. But before they could discuss further, the officer had to leave for another task. While the officer was away, our heroine hacked into his laptop, stealing all the case details, including his police badge. She then returned home to piece together the evidence, trying to uncover the name of the psycho killer. Meanwhile, her husband arrived and observed everything. "It's my loss too, with our daughter gone," he lamented, acknowledging the pain. Despite the tension, our heroine didn't respond. The next day, using the stolen police badge, she entered the evidence room to examine everything related to the case. There was a map with specific areas marked, and when she called the officer to inquire, he explained that these were uncharted territories, places no one knows about. Venturing alone to one of these forbidden areas, our heroine found the grave of the psycho's mother, and next to it, the grave of a dog that had been killed when the psycho was a child. She realized that the statue from the grave and the chain were taken by the killer. Our heroine knew all about the psycho's background, but still faced challenges. Though the psycho was weakened by drugs, he managed to escape from the basement and locked it behind him. As he searched the house, the psycho noticed the unlocked door to our heroine's bedroom. He went insane and attacked her. However, she managed to lock herself in the room. Meanwhile, their neighbor Andy, suspicious of the heroine's actions, filed a complaint, but when he tried to call the police, they dismissed it as another false alarm. Inside the house, the psycho was tearing apart everything, including a photo of his daughter. In a desperate move, he sprayed a poisonous substance on his leg, then tried to escape through the door. At that moment, the husband, who was standing outside, called out to him, urging him to open the door. There was blood everywhere, and it was clear the psycho was trying to escape. The psycho eventually found himself in a room, where he set a trap, hoping to catch our heroine. But when the FBI, who had been following the case, arrived, they were locked out of the house. Despite the psycho's attempts to escape, he left behind fingerprints and other evidence. Eventually, the heroine managed to confront him, and during their struggle, the knife changed hands, leading to the officer being stabbed in the stomach. Our heroine grabbed the officer's gun and shot the psycho. Afterward, she reflected on her daughter's photo, saying, "Kelly, my daughter, the last one you killed, this is for you." She then took a blanket and prepared for what was next. A video started playing, showing the psycho's past. It was revealed that his mother had been abusive, and his father, a psychopath, had also been cruel. This family history had driven him to madness. Our heroine used this knowledge as an emotional trigger, digging up the psycho's mother's remains and setting them on fire, just as he had done to his victims. As the psycho burned, 2 photos fell from his pocket. One was of our heroine as a child, and the other was a family photo with her father's face torn out. The news soon broke that the psycho's cabin in the forest had been discovered, but there was still a mystery. 2 murders had occurred simultaneously in 2 different places. How could one person be in 2 places at once? The final twist revealed that the psycho's father had been involved in the murders all along. The film ends with our heroine facing an uncertain future. Follow us for more updates, and see you again.